All right, I think we are live, and I'm going to see if I can now click on the Instagram to go live. So we may not be live on Instagram. If I have any listeners, I can check and see if we're live on Instagram. So if you all could just bear with us for 1 second. And I'm going to do one last thing before we get started. Okay, that ain't it. All right. Well, welcome to our live broadcast. I am so happy to be with you all on this very special episode of the Soul to Soul Healing Podcast, which is sponsored by Journey Healing Institute. And so, just to tell you a little bit about the podcast, we're here to examine topics that center the generational healing and empowerment of Black and Indigenous and women of color and in our community. So, in this space, we invite in very deep conversations about healing, wholeness, and wellness. And these conversations are rooted in culturally relevant spiritual technologies and ancestral wisdom. And so I am Dr. Kimberly J, and I am the founder of Journey Healing Institute, and I will be your host this morning. And I am so very honored to have with me an incredible friend, professional, speaker, healer, coach, Miss Tammi Walker. She is a social worker, a clinician, a therapist, a life coach, a 2-time breast cancer survivor with a thriving practice in the Chicagoland area. Thank you, Tammi. So
Thank
happy
you
to
for
be here in this space with you again. And
what
so
an honor.
today our topic is the energetics of breast cancer, examining the spiritual essence of healing. And so in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Journey Healing Institute, we stand in support of Black women, of all women who have been diagnosed and those who are survivors. And we felt that this show would be very important, very critical to do, to really talk about the spiritual aspects of healing, because most often these are the aspects of healing that get missed or not talked about enough in preventative measures, in the overall healing journey. And so today we're going to unpack some very important concepts, considerations, as well as tools and technologies that we can begin to implement in our own journeys to stay well, to heal, to recover, and just have, again, that real honest conversation about healing and wellness. And so I want to start off by sharing a little bit about my standpoint in the conversation, who I am and what I bring forward in terms of this discussion. And so I hold a doctorate. I am not, let me preface this by saying I am not a medical doctor, but I do hold a doctorate in philosophy and religion with an emphasis on women's spirituality. And why does that matter? Because I consider myself a spiritual scholar and practitioner. And what I mean by that, I have worked with women over the last 10 years in terms of spiritual coaching, in terms of intuitive healing. And so I have learned a great deal in both practice and scholarship about some of the effects that tend to bring about imbalance in our physical bodies, in our spiritual bodies, in our mental bodies, and in our emotional bodies. And so my work and my research centers the lived experiences of Black women as we navigate historical and intergenerational trauma, and you can kind of call it collective trauma, family trauma, as we navigate those spaces and the effects that it tends to have again on our bodies, our mental bodies, our physical bodies, and looking at how embodied spiritual practices can help us in terms of preventative measures, in terms of helping us stay in a place of homeostasis, which is balance, helping us to cope with and manage a lot of the changes that come about with chronic health issues. And so one of the things that I found, and not surprisingly, but I think it needs to be talked about and shared more often, that within my research, I've found that Black women are suffering in silence, and we are overwhelmingly suffering from exhaustion, right? We are not getting enough sleep. And as simple as that sounds, that affects our overall health and well-being tremendously, more than what we could even expect or anticipate. So if you are one of those women who are not getting enough sleep, I implore you to create a sleep ritual, a sleep practice, so you can. Sleep is the number one tool of restoration. And so I also found within my study, so the number one thing that Black women deal with overwhelmingly is exhaustion. The second thing is superwoman syndrome. The third is chronic anxiety. And the fourth is unprocessed, unhealed, unresolved grief. And all of these things make our bodies vulnerable to dis-ease, which includes breast cancer. And so I jotted down some important statistics that we should take into account to kind of ground this conversation. So the first one is Black women have about a 5% lower breast cancer incidence than white women, but yet are 40% more likely to die from it. So breast cancer is also the leading cause of cancer-related deaths among Black women. And we also have the lowest 5-year survival rate among all racial and ethnic groups. And I'm sure many of you all are thinking like why, as I was when I was doing the research. And a lot of the research is saying that the reason why the large disparities is because we tend to have later diagnoses, meaning that we are not getting our mammograms on a regular basis, meaning that we are not paying attention to what's happening in our body, because a lot of times there are physical signs or even emotional signs. Because again, when we're exhausted, it's really hard to pay attention to our senses and our sensitivities and our feelings and what's happening in our body. Another thing they attributed to was unequal access to healthcare, to medical care. Another thing they attributed to, of course, is social economic factors, as well as racism. Let's be clear, Black women in the medical industrial complex are not treated equally. The thing that they didn't mention, however, was the fact that, as my study showed, that we are dealing with exhaustion, superwoman syndrome, anxiety, and unprocessed, unresolved grief. And these things definitely affect how our bodies can heal, maintain, and prevent certain illnesses. And so I want to take us a little bit back to our bodies and our identities, who we are as African folk, African-centered folk, African worldview, indigenous folk, Black folk, however you want to name us. In our ancient and indigenous worldviews, all disease is the result of spiritual imbalances. And so that is why we have to bring spirit and spiritual practices into the conversation. So it's not just the biomedical, it's not just the physical. It has everything to do with why one woman can heal and another woman is dealing with the recurrence of the illness. It also has everything to do with how we treat it, how we prevent it. And so this is why I want to talk a little bit, build a little bit about the spiritual, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tammi to kind of share her own journey in working with clients, as well as her own personal journey. But when we think about the breast, in the area of the breast, from an energetic standpoint, that's your heart center, right? In your heart center, the energy of the heart center is all about self-love, self-compassion. It's not about how well we love others. It is about self-love. It is about self-compassion. It is about self-esteem. It is the place where all of your energies are harmonized and in balance. This is the great equalizer. This is the great balancer, right? And so when this area is blocked, and most often it's blocked by fear, it's blocked by shame, it's blocked by feelings of unworthiness, it's blocked by not feeling valued, not feeling appreciated, right? By being overwhelmed, overconsumed, and exhausted. And so because of these things, we begin to struggle to love ourselves and love our bodies fully. And so that healing begins when we reclaim the sacredness of our heart, the right to rest, and our right for reciprocity, right? Not just giving and giving and doing and doing and giving and doing more. And so being so very conscious of this heart center, the energy within the heart center is also very, very much paramount to that healing. And when those energies, those blocks, literally blocks, manifest as blocks in the physical, tumors, blocks. And so beginning to unravel and release those tumors, because that heart center again is all about self love, and compassion. And what we tend to do, especially as Black women, we fill that space with everything and everybody else. And there is no more room, no more spaciousness for ourselves. And the heart is saying, no, I need you to see me. I need you to feel me. I need you to hear me. I need you to experience me. I need you to love me. I need you to put some of that stuff down, that it's really, really heavy. It's really heavy. And so, with that said, I want to turn it over to Tammi so we can just engage in a dialogue, a conversation about her experience. I shared my standpoint and where I'm coming from in the topic, but I want to hear from you, Tammi, and I'm so
Yes.
very happy to have you here with
Goodness.
me.
Yes, yes. People don't even know how we met. And you were right at the tail end of that breast cancer journey, the second time around, because I was first diagnosed at age 36 in 2007. And that was a more, I want to say, aggressive form of breast cancer in my left breast, where I had to have a mastectomy reconstruction. It was a lot to go through. And prior to being diagnosed, bill of health, I had never been to the hospital, never sick. Pretty much the doctor said if it wasn't for breast cancer, I had perfect health. He said I could run a marathon. They were stumped how I got breast cancer at 36. Although cancer ran in my family from my grandmother, she passed from maybe ovarian or uterine. This was in the 50s. And my mother had cancer 4 times and end up passing away from brain cancer in 2012. But I don't have the gene because I did the BRCA test. So I attribute my breast cancer to stress, losing my dad in 99, going through a very abusive marriage, and just holding that stress from 99 through '06. So by '07, I feel like that's what that breast cancer was. So once I was diagnosed, once I could process it, I was like, I'm not surprised I ended up sick, because I felt like constricted always, like something bad was going to happen. I just felt like my body was in a ball from stress, from, losing dad, going through that divorce, financial trouble, job stuff. It was like always something, relationship drama. So that's one thing I really try to emphasize to women. Watch your stress. When people tell me someone close to them has breast cancer, I always ask, let me ask you, was she stressed? Almost 90 something percent of the time, they'll say, very stressed. Funny you should say that. So that stress, it just plays a key role among other things with breast cancer. But yes, Dr. Kimberly, I met you when I was life coaching, because after my second time with breast cancer, I had an epiphany, and I was like, why am I here? I want to help others. I always wanted to help others, but I was in corporate for years. So by this point, by the time I met you, it was like 2014. So I'm 44, I'm thinking, 44, 40, 40 something. So when I came to you, I was a new life coach, and I was at your facility, beautiful facility, you all. Dr. Kimberly was so gracious, let me hold my workshops there and just coach there. And I just really appreciate you so much. We had some good times at that
We did.
facility.
We did.
And
Yes,
beautiful
we
people.
did.
Yeah,
Yes.
you had some great people. So I really thank you so much. You're part of my journey as I enter becoming a licensed clinical social worker, because that life coaching journey pushed me to being a social worker. So I'm just so grateful. Yeah.
Thank you. So one of the points that you brought up, um, stress again, same thing. And so think about, you got the exhaustion, you got the superwoman syndrome, anxiety, like all of these things are created out of stress. And
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
in my work, I have so many clients, Black women, who say, I cannot sleep. If you
Oh, yes.
cannot sleep, you cannot heal.
Your
Period.
body, it repairs itself. After chemotherapy, I would sleep 1 a.m. to 1 p.m. I would get so much sleep, and I would just see my body repairing itself each day from that sleep.
Mm-hmm.
From that sleep.
From that
Yes.
sleep. And just think about those, because the body ends up doing what we program it to do. And so imagine you programming your body not to sleep. And then, and so when you get ready to sleep, you can't sleep. And then you become disconnected. So you can't even feel what's happening, because illness and disease, there are always little signs. And like you said, the constriction, paying attention to that. Paying attention to the little signs. It's difficult when you always going and doing, because you just like, hey, until that thing happens.
Yeah.
And you like. And so tell me a little bit about your healing journey. Like what were some of your own aha moments during your journey where you began to shift out of some of the ideologies that you had before, some of the ideas that you had before about lifestyle, to what you began, some more of those aha moments when it came down to your own healing, and what you share now with clients, who you're coaching or in therapy, who are dealing with their own chronic health issues, or breast cancer in particular.
I know prior to breast cancer, I was a nervous Nelly, always anxious. And I think it was the trauma of the abusive relationship that just put me in straight up fight mode often. Then my dad suddenly to a heart attack. Those two things combined sent me into a depression, a very, very deep depression, which lasted for years. And I was just always anxious and often thinking something bad was going to happen. Right before I got diagnosed, this is why everything happens for a reason. I talked to a dear friend and I told her, I said, your mood seems pretty stable. Can you give me some tips? Because I'm always up and down with circumstances. She said, well, talk to my mom. Her mom had went through something very traumatic with an abusive relationship, almost died. She was choked until she passed out. And so after thank God and she's still with us too. And after that, she began to search the power of positive thinking. And she read that book by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. So I started reading it in 2006. So right before I got diagnosed in 2007, I had conditioned my mind to be positive, that all is well, that expect the best. These are some of his chapters that he has in the book. And I combined it with Prayers That Avail Much by Dr. Jermaine Copeland, another good book. And I began to journal every day, even though things were not good, even though was working temporary jobs, I had bad relationships, money problems. I began to journal positive affirmations, and my mind believed it. As I was doing it, I was like, yeah, this sounds crazy. I don't have money. But I said, you keep writing it and give it a try. Within 2 weeks, Dr. Kimberly, I was offered a job making about $10-12 more per hour. I'm serious, 2 weeks. I was like, whoa, this stuff works. So, and then I began to change my mindset. But then after that, I was diagnosed, which if I hadn't have probably changed my mindset, I don't know if I would be here. Because me being positive the year before, when I went on that healing journey, I was optimistic after I processed, the news, because it was a lot to take in initially. They were like, oh, you have almost stage 3 breast cancer. It's aggressive. We got to treat it. We got to give you surgery. We got to give you more chemo. You have to have radiation, another surgery. That's a lot to grasp when you've never been sick before as a 36-year-old woman. But changing my mind to positivity changed my life. I was able to get through that illness. It wasn't easy, but with a winning spirit. So you can beat many illnesses or heal. I believe you can heal your body when you heal your mind. You got to watch what you listen to. That's why I tell people I barely watch the news. Yep, I read New York Times, but I don't sit in front of my TV and watch CNN and bad news all day. I can't. I'm talking to 25 to 30 people a week. So to sit there and watch all of this stuff that's going on, which we don't need to name, we're aware. And then read my New York Times, which I do to stay abreast, and listen to 30 different people per week. And my own, now I have my own stuff. So that's a lot of bad news, but people don't understand what they're listening to. Bad music, gossip, negativity from, hey, family, friends.
Absolutely.
You got to watch what you take in.
And then our own minds. And so I have a dear friend who always says, mind your mind. You
Yes,
know? And so, and I'm gonna be honest, that's easier said than done. I
it
can
is.
only imagine, especially after um being diagnosed, getting this news, like you said, having to process, and then having all of these thoughts about your mortality, about your body and what's going to happen, and so minding your mind, um it is, I could imagine, extremely difficult. I've been recently diagnosed with a health challenge, and I'm not even comparing it um, to cancer, but still, I went through this process of, okay, well, I eat right. I've never been sick. I do all the things. I get enough sleep. Like what is going on, and in that space is where you have to go to spirit, because a lot of times it's so much bigger than you. And so, like you said, you came to the realization, like, hey, I'm still here. I need to do something with this. I need to help people. And so, what were some of the things that got you to that place of, or even tools, even if you did meditation, or like what got you to this realization that this disease, this illness, this sickness was purposeful?
It is purposeful. You have to turn bad into good. Why not me? Who would I give breast cancer to? Sometimes people say, why did this happen to me? And of course, I did ask those questions. But who would I nominate to get that? So I got it. I had excellent doctors, Northwestern Hospital. I've been with them 19 years coming up. They treated me so well. And after I survived, I said, now, Tammi, what are you going to do? Now, you survived cancer twice. What are you going to do with this? I can, get out in the community and make others aware. That's why I would volunteer at Loyola Hospital every year for women that did not have health care. We would do a outreach every year and give them mammograms on the spot. They would get exams and resources to support them. So I feel like personally, when you survive something, you got to use your life as a testimony. Uh, you can't be ashamed, which I was. I was ashamed because strong, superwoman. You don't want to be looked at as the sick girl. You 36 years old. Now everybody looking at me like I'm sick. And let's be transparent here. When you say cancer, people throw you in the grave. They do, because sometimes they have had relatives, they've lost people. So when they hear that C word, it's gloom and doom. But you got to get out there and let them know, I'm here. I'm 55 years old, Dr. Kimberly. I was diagnosed at 36. I'm 55 years old. So I'm trying to let women know, men, period, that you can beat stuff. You don't have to be what comes to you, but make lemonade out of lemons. That's what I try to do. I use meditation. I use a powerful visualization. Ooh. When I was diagnosed, I said, pretend you are a marathon runner and you complete that marathon. And I would turn over and I would end the visualization with me sitting on the table in the exam room and the doctor saying, Tammi, no more cancer. It happened like that. Tammi, we got some good news. You cancer free. This is what they told me. Everything, but I would visualize this stuff over and over. I'm telling you, I was convinced that either you be scared, it's gonna start spreading, or you better stay positive. Dr. Kimberly, I shut down negativity. People that was drunk, cut off. I mean, to this day, I have literally not seen a friend or two because they were dramatic. And I'm like, I don't have the capacity because I was scared it was going to spread. I'm like, if you stress out, it's going to spread. Took off work. I'm off work. I can't get stressed out. Whatever it takes to keep your mind, body, and soul,
That's right.
healthy. That's the name of my company, Walk to Wellness, your journey to a healthy mind, body, and soul,
Oh,
because it's all encompassing. It really is. You got to do it. Sometimes we have to do a lot. Dr. Kimberly, you're very healthy. You always have been since I've known you, but you have to do a lot
you
to
have to
to
do
keep
a lot.
yourself
Oh my
healthy. It's hard work. What do I do? My ritual: journal, pray, watch sermons, read positive books, meditate. I have to do like all this stuff, and when I don't do it, I am off my square. I
gosh.
can feel it right away. I'm like, ooh, I feel off kilter. So yeah, you got to get rituals. Maybe other people rituals won't be what I do, but get rituals that can keep you in a positive light. And I know it sounds hokey when you say be positive. People don't want to hear that, but it's the key to success. It's the key to being healthy. And if you don't have your health, you don't have no wealth. You don't
Absolutely.
have no wealth. So, yeah.
And everything that you are naming and talking about, again, this is the spiritual essence of healing. And so this is the stuff that people call hokey. This is the stuff that people say isn't empirical. I can't prove it. So, this is the stuff, the medicine that complements, supplements, and sometimes bypasses the biomedical understanding of illness and disease. Is the ability to sit with spirit through meditation, to get a deeper meaning, to get a deeper understanding, to understand which path or direction is in alignment for you, to be able again to find purpose. Because as you said, it's in your field, it's in your space for a reason. Like what are you doing? Getting clear. Getting
Yes.
clear. Like what is it that I need to experience? Because it's an experience, it's a journey. What is it that I need to experience? What is it that I need journey? What tools do I have? What do I need to let go of? And I love that you said any and everything that stresses you out. Some Black women in particular, we can't let go of them jobs. We can't let
No.
go of being the go-to person in the family. We can't let go of all the roles and the responsibilities, because when we're not productive, we don't feel validated. And so part of our validation comes from being productive. And so this disease, this illness, it causes you have to stop.
Yes.
And so I also want to talk a little bit about the grief. And when we talk about grief, these are what can be considered abrupt endings, and even the grief around having your body transformed or changed. And what does that look like when you are again minding your mind and dealing with the grief? Because it's real. It's not like we're sitting here talking about bypassing, because that's not what we're doing at all. But we're talking about, how do you take this sudden change that is in you going through this in your 30s. And so this sudden change to your physical body, your emotional body, like this sudden abrupt change. So how did you navigate that? And what advice would you give other women who are in the process of maybe just recently diagnosed, and they're facing the grief around the losing part of their bodies? Again, our breasts hold energy, life force. The left breast is all about our spiritual connection. The right breast is all about us doing. And so even where the cancer and the block show up, in our bodies mean a thing. And so what would you say about that grief around this potential loss or shift or change in the physical?
It's scary. And I always took pride in my body. Growing up, I was a slim Jim. I call myself, back in the day, the west side of Chicago, you skinny girl. So I didn't, I would consider it a cute shape. Might have been thin, but in tip-top shape, and so now my body's going to be mutilated. You mean you have to do what? Mastectomy? By the way, very small breast, very. So I was already very small. So what are we going to cut here? What are you doing? So I had to wrap my mind around that. What helped me, to be very honest, and this is something you said is so true. Sometimes as African-American women of color, women, we don't have good access to healthcare. I was blessed. My mom had battled with cancer. So at that time, she had an oncologist at Northwestern Hospital, downtown Chicago. That's who helped me. So those doctors, the way they laid stuff out, I had a social worker at Northwestern. So with that team, I had a team of doctors, and they showed me what a reconstructed breast would look like. Because when you first hear mastectomy, it's going to be cut. You're like, oh my God, I just couldn't. It was just so much to listen to. It was overwhelming. It really was. Now that's one phase of it, but they made me feel better, show me those pictures. Now we got the reproductive system. Oh, Tammi, with this chemotherapy, you may not be able to have kids. Okay, so you're trying to tell me I have breast cancer. Breast has to be, reconstructed. I might not be able to have kids. I was always the type, maybe kids, maybe not, but I wanted that option. I didn't want that taken away. So I'm a straight up type person. I ask questions. I don't know. I have no shame in my game. So with my oncologist, I said, Dr. Williams, what would you do? Because she told me we had to wait to get the egg. That was going to be when my next menstrual cycle, finished. This was going to be like 2 or 3 weeks. Now you telling me this cancer is aggressive. I said, what would you do? I said, because you all saying it's aggressive. It grows every so many days. It's growing. Which I get the egg, or do I start the treatment? She said, if it was me, I would treat yourself. She said, if you're not here, you can't have a baby. I was like, let's do chemo. So I did not get to get an egg because I wasn't in a relationship. You need the sperm. Yeah. So I just bypassed that. In which, it's been some days where I'm like, why me? Why would breast cancer happen to me? I didn't get to have kids. When you really start thinking about it, you can get very upset and mad over it. But I'm blessed. I have nieces and nephews, ages what? Oh my God, 7 through 20, 6 of them. So they gave me a lot of, childhood memories, and I'm still getting more memories. So I feel very blessed. But that's my story. But for other women, the advice I would give is, if you don't feel comfortable with that medical professional, go get a second opinion. Use your social worker. Listen to the plastic surgeon. You don't have to be deformed, one missing and you have one. They will restore your look. And recently I had to have it reconstructed because it can sink in after the radiation. Although my radiation was in 07, my breast began to contract and shrink and sink in. So my oncologist would see it yearly, and she said, Miss Tammi, go see the plastic surgeon. He could fix you. She could fix it back. And I'm like, I don't want to be off work. And finally, I did do it in 2023. And it looks great. It looks great. They restored it. It looks great. I did have to take some fat out of my latissimus dorsi, the muscle in the back. It's kind of a little bit of a radical surgery, but I have a good body. I have a good body. But I just want to tell women, it is grief with that body being disfigured, but they can restore you with this plastic surgery. Now, this was 07 when I had it, 2012. We in 2025, get ready to be 2026. They are ahead. It's so much advancement now. So when you hear that breast cancer, you're going to be alarmed. You're going to be upset, grieving. But once you process it, get the resources, the social worker, the plastic surgeon, and look at every avenue to get your body back to looking good. Because who want to be looking deformed? Our body is part of who we are. That's our identity. You want to be able to take pride in how you look. So it's a lot to process, though, definitely.
My heart, I just want to say this, Tammy. My heart
Yes,
is
ma'am.
so full. Like I'm getting emotional.
Oh,
My
I'm
heart
joining
is
in.
so full because you embody. And so it's one thing for people to espouse spiritual principles and read scripture and all of the things, but you embody the courage, the wisdom, the surrendering, naming the thing as being difficult, as being challenging, and still being a very real part of your experience, and you not denying it, trying to push it away, trying to suppress it, like, and so I just honor your courage, and in order to do that, I'm witnessing your spiritual journey, because this is the work, this is how you get to this place of surrender, of understanding that this is your path, that you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else. And as difficult, as complicated, as dealing with the grief, dealing with the pain, dealing with the getting the news, dealing with being young, all of these things, taking it one day at a time, being very present to your own experience, never feeling as if you're a victim, being conscious. And again, this is not what I'm talking about. Humans, we automatically go to those negative places. We automatically go to those places of judgment, places of fear, places of victimization, like, and so that's normal, that's natural. So but now what?
What? Now what? What you gonna do? What you gonna
What
do?
exactly?
That's what Mike
And
Tyson said. What you gonna do? You get
what
hit in
you're
the
gonna
mouth.
do?
What you gonna
What
do? You gotta be ready.
what you're going to do is sit with spirit. You're gonna pray. You're gonna
Hmm.
meditate. You're gonna eat healthy. We ain't even talk about
Yeah.
diet. Diet is that. So
Yeah.
I said sleep number one. Number two is diet for Black women.
Important.
So
Yes.
important.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to mind our minds and mind our bodies, and see this as an opportunity to shift, to be at peace, to choose you. Because that's what you see. You had to do this. Like literally, you
Yeah.
had to choose you.
Yeah.
And
I'm one of the
that
blessed
is,
ones, though. Yeah.
whew,
Yeah. But I had a good support system. I'm blessed. My late mom was alive when it first happened. My sisters, my grown niece, two or three friends, they rallied around me. I mean, people fighting to take me to chemo. I could take you. And hey, you don't want to bump big sister Vanessa out the way because she's very protective of me. And
yeah,
I was just a blessing to have people want to fight over you to take you to chemo. So what I do say to people is, be kind to each other because you never know when it's going to happen to you. I see people get sick, they don't want to visit them, or even married couples. Partner is sick, they treat them bad. It could be you. It could be you. We got to be kind. I never would have thought in 1.17 billion years I would get breast cancer at 36. What? I mean, literally, when I got the call, it is cancer. I was like, I didn't know. I didn't know who he was. I said he must have missed Dow. My eye twitched for 2 weeks after that call because I jumped so bad and my eye just twitched. Because it's just unbelievable to get that kind of news. But once you can process it, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I was like, oh, okay, I have cancer, do. A
right,
couple of
right.
weeks, I was mad. I was mad over the reproductive part. That bothered me. It was just a lot of, you have to process, you have to sit with it.
Absolutely.
But once that fog clears, you got to go attack it. You
Yeah.
got to go attack it. I would tell women, get your mammogram. Some people say, I don't want to go. I don't want to know. Get in front of it. Get in front of it because the more you wait, it's going to be worse. It really is. Now you're at a stage where it's hard to treat. Now, you don't want to have to do that when you could have got in front of it. Even when they say, oh, we see something, people start freaking out. Oh my God, it might be cancer. No. let them look into it further. We have dense breasts, African American women, women
Yes,
of
which
color,
is
dense breasts. I know I do. And I
mm-hmm.
had a scare again this year. I freaked out. I'm not gonna lie, I freaked out. It was calcifications. And my new oncologist, because my other oncologist, look, she resigned and when it started her own private practice on the Gold Coast. I'm like, how dare she? I have been with her for years, probably like 12, 13. So, I was really attached to her. But my new oncologist said, "Oh, Miss Tammi, it's not cancer." Because she could see I was freaking out. You know what?
Yeah.
Go. I'd rather go and know than this
Mm-hmm.
than turn a blind eye. We have to
Mm-hmm.
we have to get that done. We really do. Get your mammograms, do your self exams. Like you said, your diet. I take a pack of vitamins a day, B12, D. I take a probiotic, then I do a whole nother pack in the evening time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been using vitamins for years. I swear by it. Like you
Yeah.
said, you got to eat healthy. I'm not going to get in here and tell you I eat the healthiest, but I do a moderation. I do a combination. I do
Yeah.
a combination. Yeah,
And moving the body, exercise. We gotta move. Even, a lot of people, oh, I don't like going to the gym. I don't have time to go to the gym.
you don't have to
Lay,
go.
lay your mat right on the floor and do some stretching and do some jumping jacks. Keep it simple.
Yes,
you
do
know,
sometimes do 10 squats in the washroom. That's what I do. Go in the
that's
washroom, do
right.
10 squats when you go in there. Do 50 jumps. I'll do that here. I'll do stretching or walk around my complex where I live. Everybody not a gym person. Walking is the best exercise.
The best exercise. But we have to get into a habit of moving our bodies. And so,
Absolutely.
again, the sleep, the diet, the move in the body, the minding our mind, the
Yes.
breathing, the being in nature, like all of these things are spiritual technologies because they connect you to everything that is there to restore you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, you are so right. You are so right.
To restore you.
Mhm,
And so, I want to do final reflections, but then I want to share. And so I sat with the mothers, the divine lineage mothers of our our ancestors to get a deeper wisdom. And she shared with me a letter, and it's called Mother to Her Daughters as they are going through this journey. And so I want to share that, and then we'll do final reflections, and then we'll open it up if people have joined and they have questions. I'll check the chat box, and we'll open it up. And so here's the letter, a letter from mother to her daughters. Breast cancer should be renamed cancer of the heart. The tumor forms through lack of oxygen, life force, and joy in one's own experience. It results from carrying the weight and burdens of others in a place reserved for you, for your own harmony, balance, and peace. Yes, it's ancestral, hereditary, not just the gene itself, but the energy that feeds it. The gene remains inactive until it is awakened by energetic frequencies of dissonance. Those that are rooted in self disregard, self disdain, poor self image, low self esteem, lack of worthiness, and shame around our bodies. These energies activate the genes, and those energies are generational. They come from your mother's shame, her mother's shame, her insecurities about herself, her mother, and so on and so forth. So, when you know the root of the disorder and acknowledge its origins, you become empowered to heal at the root. So, how do you define your worthiness? Do you feel worthy to heal? Do you feel connected enough to your divine body that you can intuitively feel, hear, and sense what she needs and be courageous enough to give it to her? Can you accept her perceived flaws as beautiful, abundant, and worthy? Can you love her no matter the outcome? Can you find gratitude in the journey, knowing it was all orchestrated and designed by you to give you exactly what you needed for your healing and evolution and the healing and evolution of your ancestors? Can you trust? Trust her. Trust your path. Trust your ancestors. Can you surrender in knowing she knows exactly what you need to heal? Allow the stillness. Stillness brings profound clarity for healing when you have no choice but to surrender, to listen, to feel, to return to your body, to heal your heart. And that is the most vulnerable lesson of them all, because heart energy follows you from lifetime to lifetime. The mothers will never leave nor forsaken you, just as you would never forsaken your own. Have reverence for the journey. Surrender, be present, be love. Part of this grief of the heart is our inability to find our way back home to your heart. The heart is the home base. The heart is the healer, the harmonizer, the mother. Black women's value and worth have been tied to productivity, but that is out of order and out of balance. Return home. Return to your heart.
Beautiful and true.
Yes. Yes. So, final closing thoughts. If you had final words of advice, practices, even rituals, because you did mention rituals, and I'm a huge proponent of rituals, because again, this journey requires us to be conscious in the journey, conscious about taking care of our mind, bodies, and spirits. And so, anything that you want to, final thoughts you want to share?
I think it's important how you start your day off. Even if you're not a clinician, it doesn't matter what you do. Mom, you have your own business, you work for someone, you're a stay-at-home mom, and I know that's hard. I know that's hard. But if you could start your day off in a positive way, for me, it's journaling, maybe writing down what you're grateful for. You can't go wrong when you have gratitude. I always tell people to meditate because of being a licensed clinical social worker therapist. Quite a few of my clients have anxiety, depression, this ADHD. They can't focus. This is all I'm hearing for the last few months. And they have grief, work transitions, a lot of relationship problems. So you definitely want to meditate. This is what I push. I'm like, meditate. Oh, I can't meditate. I can't concentrate. I tried it. It doesn't work. Of course, it doesn't work. It's not going to work initially, but once you keep doing it, that is when, you just learn to let your thoughts be your thoughts. But meditation can calm you down from some of the worst things. I swear by meditation. I've been meditating since 2014. I've been journaling since 1998. I just got a little cat a couple of weeks ago, so I don't use my diffuser because it can be toxic towards him. Thanks a lot, which I was really using. No, it's okay. I kind of use a candle a little bit. I put it on the burner and just kind of let that do its thing. But if you can diffuse some type of essential oil in the morning, I used to love lemongrass, wild orange. I would use that, maybe some peppermint. But you get that good or aroma going with your journaling. You meditated, get on your mat, like you said, stretch for a few minutes. Like, that is empowering. Me personally, I always have positive books by me. I don't have one by me now. Yeah, they're over there. But I usually have the Power of Positive Thinking. I have my Bible. I might listen to sermons on YouTube. I love Wayne Dyer. I love Wayne Dyer. So I listen to his stuff a lot. And I'm a YouTuber as well. So I have a channel, and I have over 800 videos, Dr. Kimberly, 800 videos helping people to change their life. So, but
And
yes,
so
yes,
share. And so
yes.
share how everybody who is joining in can reach you, who want to work with you. As I said, you're a licensed clinician, therapist, coach, so they can work with you one-on-one, looking at,
Yes.
again, your YouTube channel. So just share with the audience how they can follow up with you.
Okay, my website for my therapy practice is www.walk-to-wellness.com. walk-to-wellness.com, and they can reach me through there if they just go in and put in an inquiry. Also, my YouTube channel is Dreams Are a Reality. So just as it says, and Tammi C Walker, you can if you type that in and Dreams Are a Reality, it will pop up. I have over 800 videos about self-help, how to raise your confidence, how to take care of your body, rituals that I do, meditation, juicing is all on my YouTube channel. Email Tammi at walk-to-wellness.com. So yeah, they can reach me all those different ways.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Again, I thank you for your presence. I thank you for the work that you do in the world. I thank you for your courage. I thank you for your wisdom and your love. And I thank you for joining me.
Oh my
I
God, what an
do.
honor. What an
I do.
honor.
I thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And so this concludes our broadcast, but I do want to open it up for questions. And just a little information about Journey Healing Institute. We are a healing-centered educational institute where we focus on creating programs, as well as classes, workshops, educational resources that help Black, Indigenous, and women of color on their healing journeys. And so, and more specifically, dealing with historical and intergenerational trauma. We don't talk about that enough, you know.
Yes,
And
no,
so
no.
I'll open it up for questions. I have Keisha who has joined in the room, and Keisha, I'm going to add you to the stage so I can hear you. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want, but I want to add you to the stage and invite you to ask if you have any questions.
Hey, good morning. And Tammi Walker, it's so good to see your face. I had the pleasure of meeting you at Kim's Brick and Mortar Journey Healing, and I still have your photograph. So you look phenomenal today. And thank you so much for what you had to say. Tammi, I'm going to tell you something. I've never heard the other side of if you do have to have a mastectomy. The energy behind getting yourself back, like you put a whole nother spin on it when you were saying, hey, this is your body, we all want to look good, so do the plastic surgery. They're doing a lot of great things in it. You don't really hear that part.
No.
And being a Black woman to hear that, because some people want to say it's vanity. No, it's a part of who you are. You've had your breasts since 8 or 9 or 10 years old. You've heard your grandmother say, put them things up. You need a bigger bra. Ask your cousin Kim to take you bra shopping. That's what happened in my family. And I just thought about it. It's so beautiful today that cousin Kim did get me my first bra, and then here we are here. So thank you, Tammi, for sharing that. And a question that I have for you, Kimberly, is there another place that I could read more about the energetics of breast cancer?
They have a lot of books about the energetics of disease and illness, the spiritual essence. So I'll send you some of those. Unfortunately, there's not a specific book. Maybe that's one that me and Tammi can write, right?
Hey, how about that? How about that?
Because we need to hear more. We need to hear what Tammi said about, in a sense, reinventing yourself, through the cosmetics of it, and the glory that you found in taking time to honor yourself And Kimberly, what you're saying about, the ancestral, those things are still so new to a lot of us, not to everybody, but to a lot of us. And I would like to explore that more.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that the languaging is new.
Mm-hmm.
But it is something that we have been. So I'll give you an example. So people talk about the gene, if you got the cancer gene and the cancer
Yes.
being hereditary, that's ancestral. You know what I'm saying? So, but we're not really calling it that. And so even thinking about the ancestral things that our mothers and their mothers and their mothers went through, if you get into the stress, if you get into
Mm-hmm.
abuse, if you get into some of these energies and experiences, and so that's what intergenerational trauma is. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not saying that you yourself may have had those exact same experiences. What it says is that those things are passed down from generation to generation, unbeknownst that you are repeating patterns or repeating cycles. And so even if you don't have, let's say, the gene,
Mm-hmm.
even if your mother's mother didn't have it's the patterns and the repeat cycles that create the dissonance in the body that activates whatever is there or not there. And so that's why I say we don't talk enough about intergenerational trauma and intergenerational healing
Mm-hmm.
and breaking the cycles.
Yeah. I also liked what you both said about movement. I have my spurts when I'm really into exercise, but then there's other times, I don't feel like it. But I like what you said, Tammi. You said you can stretch. It was like you just
Yeah.
do some stretches. I didn't think about it like that. And I remember elderly people always stretching. And we would laugh,
Yeah.
"Oh, girl, what you do?" They would be stretching. So even that, thank you. That was very helpful. And thank you both.
Thank you. Oh.
Thank you. So we have any other questions? I can't see the oh, I do see the YouTube chat. Oh, we do have some comments. Love this information. This is from Wake Up Wear. Love this information. Thank you. Taking off my Superwoman cape today. Bless your heart.
That's
And
my
I
dear
have
friend.
a whole sermon on Superwoman syndrome.
That's Giovanni from California who
Yes.
just uh-huh. Yeah.
Love this information. Thank you. Um, Happy Sunday. Thank you. Simplistic motivation.
Oh
That was
yes, my dear friend.
beautiful. Hi, Vonda here. Tammi, so proud of you and what both of you awesome women are doing. Everything designated with me, especially the Superwoman cape, is going in the trash. Yes, Maria, gratitude, gratitude.
Love
We'll
it.
definitely catch the replay. Awesome.
Oh, so sweet.
Awesome. Any other questions, Keisha? All
Awesome.
right. Well, again, I thank you. If you all are interested in learning more about our work at Journey Healing Institute, I invite you to check out our website, and that's journeyhealinginstitute.com. And thank you for being with us. Have a great Sunday.
God bless.